Hey guys, welcome back. Episode 142 today. I streamed for the first time today. I streamed at about 5 p.m. Central. I know I said the other day I'd stream at 7, but decided to do it a little earlier because I wanted to stream for a little longer. We streamed for about 3 hours, so um, this here is just going to kind of be a recap video, me talking about the problems I did, the way I solved it, some of the struggles, and just to encourage you guys to I guess tune in on the streams. I plan on streaming roughly at the same time every day, around 7 p.m. Central. That's the goal. It could be minus 1 hour, maybe 6 p.m. plus 1 hour, 8 p.m. But sometime in the evenings, Central Time. So again, I appreciate everyone that did tune in, and would love to see you guys there. We're gonna jump into our Pokemon sound of the day because this is where I'm gonna do them. So we'll check out Pokemon 142. It is an Aerodactyl today. We will check out the sound. Aerodactyl. Oh, whoops. Pokemon sound. Let's take a look.
You might know Harbor Freight for affordability. What you might not know, performance.
Brr! 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 That's our sound. Yeah, so we're going to jump straight into the recap now, and I will see you guys there. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. I wasn't too sure how I kind of wanted to structure these videos, but I think the way I'm going to do it is I'm just going to kind of talk about and just go through the problems we looked at today. So the first problem we looked at today was just the daily leaker problem, maximum difference by remapping a digit, which we will, ooh, that's bright, which we will take a look at right here. So, this was an easy problem. Pretty much the role of this was to return the difference between the maximum and minimum values Bob can make by remapping exactly one digit in num. Originally, when I solved this, I kind of thought it was a hash map problem. That's kind of what I began with, but then I kind of closely realized that it was a greedy problem, and I did confirm that by looking at the topics. So it was a greedy problem. The greedy way that I decided to solve it, the first thing I thought of was, well, since we have to create a maximum and a minimum, here, I thought about just swapping the front number here to a 9. So we'd swap every single number that the front number was into a 9, which would always make the most positive number, right? Flipping the biggest digit in the number, right? Or the largest digit in the number, so the furthest one left. What I mean by that? And kind of doing the same thing for the minimum, right? Flipping the minimum number and doing that. And that was the right way to do it, right? We had to find our target. So if the number does not equal 9, we would do it. And then we would obviously flip it. So I would make a simple for loop to flip. We do the same for our min, find our min target, do the same for the flip. Then I would remove the zeros in front of the for the minimum, because technically if you were to flip this, like we would have flipped all these ones, we'd have 00890. Now obviously that's not a valid number having zeros in front of it. So that's what this little while loop does here, is remove the following zeros. And then we simply made it back into an integer and then did a res max minus a res min. This problem did take me about an hour to solve. It was kind of tough, kind of putting all of it together, but it did take me about an hour. It was a good problem, and it was pretty fun. Definitely made me a little frustrating at some points, but that's all right. We'll jump into our next one. So I believe our next one we looked at was number of closed islands. This was a really good problem. I hadn't looked at this before either. Just kind of a simple BFS problem with a grid. The trick was here, I was kind of thinking about it. Usually these are my strongest problems. Usually grid problems with, BFS and DFS are my strongest problems. I kind of got the intuition straight away. The intuition was to start at any 0 here, right? Because technically the island had to be enclosed in ones, right? So you couldn't look at an edge like this. Mainly the only way was to look at all the numbers inside, right? Because if it was an edge, then it can't be enclosed by 1, right? Because there's nothing out here, right? So the simple way here was to just, create a simple BFS function, just a regular thing that we do. We loop through each value in the grid, and we check if it's not a visited or if it's a 0, then we would add it. And the only change here, other than a simple BFS approach, was to just check if it's a border element or not. And if it is a border element, then we automatically make it false. If not, we would just return true, which would be, we'd begin it with is closed as true. So it was a pretty simple BFS approach, but definitely a good problem. The next one here was a problem that we looked at previously. It was core schedule. We have done this before. It's kind of a basic cycle detection DFS problem. But what I do struggle with DFS problems is kind of making the DFS function. I have a good idea about how to make the DFS function, but kind of doing the recursion parts of it were pretty difficult. I still kind of struggle a little bit. We did get it in the end. We only spent really like 20 minutes, half an hour on it. Really, the main thing was just this path part, but I think I understand this path part. I mean, this path part in this function obviously detects a cycle, but the reason why we have an extra one, the visited here, is to speed it up, right? Because if we already checked that, this is already in visited, then we don't need to check it again because we already know that there's no cycles in this node that's already in visited, right? So we can simply add it at the end here. And it was a good problem, something I've done before, so it wasn't too bad. Just to kind of refresh on the idea. Then we did an end queens problem, and this problem took nearly probably an hour and a half. This is a really tough problem. I do kind of struggle with backtracking problems in general. I am decent at it, but just kind of thinking about it in the way was tough. Starting off with the backtracking function, looping through each column, because we had to think about it as in a row like this. So we try this spot here. If this queen is valid here, then we go to the next row. Then we go to the next row, and then we go to the next row, right? And then we check if the column's valid, which is what we do here in our helper function here in the isSafe. We check if our column is valid here. If it's not, we return false. And then the hard part here was about the diagonals, right? We had to use a while loop to walk along the diagonals. Originally, I kind of thought about checking from the top left and the top right. Oh, sorry, no, it was the bottom left and the bottom right. But, I soon to realize after I kind of got towards the end of the problem that it's very important that, you have to check the top left here and the top right, because technically we're going by rows, right? So everything below this queen here, is going to, you automatically know that it's valid, right? So really that's why you only have to check the top left diagonal and the top right diagonal just to make sure that the queen is valid. It was a good problem, something I haven't looked at before, something I did skip in the NeetCode 150 just because it was a hard problem and I didn't really want to look at it, but overall it was a good problem. So that was fun. And those are the 4 problems that we did today. Just a little bit of an outro. I'm not sure kind of how I want to structure these videos in the future, but I might be changing it up. I'm thinking about maybe doing some IRL content maybe of the day and kind of doing, small recaps, probably not as long as this one, but I'm not sure, but I kind of want to do something different and, maybe add a little bit, flair to the videos. I feel like it's just all constantly about programming. I kind of want to try different things. So, again, I appreciate you guys for the support. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys tomorrow.